Iran's empire crumbling, America's silent victory in the Middle East. 4 months and 3 weeks into intense combat with Iran, the toll has been heavy. The United States has lost 17 or 18 warriors, with over 420 wounded. 60 Israelis have been killed, and more than 100 Iraqis have died. Our allies in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates have all suffered civilian casualties, and infrastructure across the region has taken significant damage. But Iran has suffered military deaths in the thousands, with many hundreds of civilians killed. The toll on its infrastructure is massive, exponentially larger than what it has inflicted on its neighbors, with estimates in the hundreds of billions of dollars. Iran's conventional military has been shattered, and its missile and drone forces significantly damaged or expended. However, it still possesses ordnance to threaten shipping in the Strait of Hormuz and its neighbors. Interestingly, Iran has avoided striking Israel for the past 10 days, a clear sign of restored deterrence. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard, or IRG, is now afraid to strike the Jewish state. The goal now is to make them equally afraid to target Americans, Arab neighbors, or international shipping. The regime itself appears to be a military dictatorship led by 68-year-old Ahmed Vahidi, commander-in-chief of the IRG. Vahidi came out of retirement after opening strikes on Iranian leaders killed scores of leading officials. The official successor to the killed supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, his son Mostafa Khomeini, hasn't been seen publicly since the conflict began. He's widely believed to have been seriously wounded and recently moved out of the country. Iran's economy is in shambles. The Iranian rial is nearing 2 million to 1 against the US dollar. The US Navy's blockade is incredibly effective, completely cutting off Iran's most essential revenue stream from ocean oil sales. Its imports must now rely solely on land or air. The conflict could drag on for months, even years, as America's blockade drives the Iranian economy deeper into a hole it will take decades to climb out of. Crucially, Iran's nuclear program is obliterated. While the deep tunnels of Pickaxe Mountain remain a mystery, the IRG's ability to break out to a nuclear weapon has been crushed. What was once a matter of weeks, Iran is now years away from a nuclear weapon, even if oil exports resumed. Globally, oil prices are hovering above $80 a barrel, 30% higher than when the battle began, but significantly lower than the $126 peak reached in April. Workarounds via pipelines and the use of the southern shipping route near Oman, along with increased worldwide production, have prevented prices from skyrocketing despite the off-and-on closure of the Strait of Hormuz. The question now is whether President Donald Trump will escalate strikes to include the destruction of power plants and bridges that serve dual military uses, legitimate targets under the laws of war. We'll soon find out. Every lethal attack on Americans elicits extraordinary punishment. On Iran, the U.S. is extracting a price after every deadly blow, in an ongoing effort to deter these fanatics, acknowledging the immeasurable cost to American families bearing these losses. While the regime's martyrdom ideology makes deterrence tough, history offers a precedent. Ayatollah Khomeini, the Islamic Republic's original dictator, drank from the cup of poison in 1988, accepting what was essentially a defeat in the Iran-Iraq War. Vahidi is a veteran of that war. Perhaps he will follow his predecessor's example and heed the advice of civilian advisors who are believed to grasp the scale of defeat inflicted on Iran. The crushed proxy armies in Gaza and Lebanon should also weigh heavily on Vahidi. Does he want the IRG to follow Hamas and Hezbollah's path? Iran could achieve a ceasefire in hours by simply stopping its firing on shipping and agreeing to minimal steps like comprehensive inspections by the International Atomic Energy Agency of its known nuclear weapons development sites, plus Pickaxe Mountain. It seems irrational for the regime to continue taking this pounding, and the fact that Israel hasn't been targeted in the past 10 days suggests Vahidi is grasping the reality of his situation. He has been deterred from ordering strikes on Israel. The nightly pummeling by the United States presents Vahidi with only terrible choices, all aimed at deterring him from his current course. Whatever he calculated about the cost to the world in oil prices or to Trump in political damage, he was not just wrong, but very wrong. Can we see that as clearly as Khomeini did in 1988? No American wants this combat to continue a day longer than it must. President Trump certainly shares this sentiment. The destruction of Iran's military capabilities and its military-industrial complex is near complete. Its nuclear program is in ruins. The Iranian people will face a much weaker regime when they next rise up to demand freedom from the fanatics. However, as every member of the military will tell you, the enemy gets a say in when the fighting ends. The decisive victory of the American military won't be concluded until Iran stops its aggression on international shipping. It may not do so for a long while yet. The cup of poison isn't anything the Hidi wants to accept or the regime mouthpieces want to acknowledge. But President Trump is pursuing the right strategy to make its sipping inevitable. America must honor its fallen and care for their families as well as the wounded and their families. We pray for this spring and summer of war to end before the fall arrives. It was a necessary battle, and further devastation of Iran is not something the president or any American should want, but that choice is with the Hidi.